Hello friend, this is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com. Today I want to talk to you about having energy. People will tell me they don't have enough energy. Their energy levels aren't high enough to keep up and be productive and be successful. But that's just a cop-out. People have plenty of energy for stuff they want to do. Now, it may very well be you don't have energy for your job or your work because you don't like it, it makes you miserable, but that's a choice you've made to be in that business in the first place. If that's the case, you need to be doing something else. Doesn't mean just quit your job and go lay around the couch and hope some business or job comes your way, but you need to start making a transition to something that you do want to do, because that will drain you. If you are going to bed at night miserable, thinking about the misery you're going to subject yourself to the next day at your job or in your business you don't like doing, how could you possibly get any good, peaceful night's rest? And you wake up in the morning knowing another day of misery is ahead of you. Of course you're going to have no energy. Of course you're going to feel down and depressed and lethargic. That's a natural reaction. That's what you should. If you don't feel that way, something's wrong with you. This isn't a bad thing. This is showing you something's wrong so that you can correct it. And recognizing that's important, because many people are living life like robots virtually. Literally as the proverbial NPC, where they're not playable characters. They're just going through life, going through the motions, living a script like their parents or grandparents or whoever they looked up to as a child. And they're just living that same life out. And yet there's so much more available to you if you will wake up. If you'll awake to righteousness and choose the right path. Now that means at least temporarily, some sacrifice. You may have to work long hours. You may have to work very, very hard. That doesn't mean it's always the way it has to be. Because as I've mentioned in other videos many times before, some of the hardest working people make the least amount of money. You can go hand dig a ditch. That's not going to make you much money. You could rent a backhoe and dig up the ditch really quickly and dig dozens of other ditches in the same amount of time it'd take you to do it by hand and make a lot of money. So you certainly need to make sure you have the element of, while you are working hard, you're diligent in your effort, that you're doing it in an intelligent way. Because just going out and working hard, if you're doing it wrong, or you're doing the very thing you're doing is not even what you're supposed to be doing in the first place, it's a waste of time. And it won't get you the prosperity and abundance in the life that you want. And it'll make you miserable. Now, yes, there's certainly people who are going through the motions, living life in like a robotic way, who aren't necessarily miserable, but they're certainly not happy. But they're just resigned to that as a fate almost. And so it's almost turned off that divine spark within them to be creative, to be a unique individual in the image and likeness of God, doing things like God. Being creative, being instrumental in the betterment of the world, doing good. That's just not happening in those people's lives. It doesn't mean they're awful people or anything like that. This is just about, that is what the world presents to you. And yes, much of professing Christendom just presents a nicer package, more Christianized package maybe, of the same mediocrity. They'll dress it up, where the world has sleeping around and pseudo relationships. The Christianized version of it will be, you got to get married and have kids and go to work your 9-to-5 job and get in this rut. Both make people miserable for completely different reasons. But part of it is for the same reason, because it is not doing something that is righteous from within, from that divine spark that's within you. Being like God, where you're daily creating. If you're just that consumer, whether it be the worldly version or the Christianized version, it's not going to produce an abundant life. It's not going to produce a glorious life, a life that you actually enjoy living. Now, if you don't live the life you want to live, or the life that you aspire to have, you have no even light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, that's going to drain you of energy. You know, these people who are billionaires and are ultra successful and are even flying out into space, it's all this creativity and uniqueness, that didn't happen from them leading a mediocre, average life. And they weren't special. Some of these people, while most of them are pretty intelligent, it is because they kept moving into that creativity, that natural God-given ability that we all have. Saint or sinner alike, God reigns upon the just and the unjust alike. He gives the gifts and callings of God without repentance. That's in you. And when you tap into that, and every day you're moving closer and more creative and producing more in the world that's bettering the world, not just consuming, big things happen for you. And you'll have more energy. Working a 12-hour day doing something you like, you still have energy to go. Where you could work a 4-hour day doing something you don't like that makes you miserable and be drained before you even get started. This does not mean that you have to love what you do, because that is the go-to thing from people who know nothing about life and who've never had a single second of success in their lives. They'll tell you, you got to do what you love. And sometimes people who have had success, but they're unconsciously competent, meaning they don't understand how they got to where they are, they'll babble that out to you. Some of it is on purpose. Some people are saying that because they don't want you to become successful. So they tell you these platitudes. Just do what you love. Most people doing what they love means sitting around, watching videos, binge watching videos, eating and getting fat, and being lazy. That's what they love, and they're not going to make a penny from that. And they'll have no success, and their life will not be fulfilling, and they'll be miserable, and they will absolutely be lethargic and have no energy. You can't expect energy from doing things that aren't producing. And that's a radically different approach to life. When you stop thinking consumer and start thinking producer. How can I produce value in the world today? How can I produce more goodness? How can I bring heaven to earth? What can I do today that makes the world a better place? If you have that narrow tunnel vision toward that goal, the goodness of God, focused on His goodness and bringing more of His goodness to life in this existence, you will have plenty of energy. You'll start doing the things you should be doing, such as eating a good diet, walking and exercising and being active, and you will be successful. There may be some time delay in that, but you will become successful, because that is what successful people do, whether they know it or not. Whether they tell you platitudes about doing what you love, you will become successful if you tap into that divine, godlike creation within you of being creative, being a producer. You will bring about more good into the world. You'll have plenty of energy, and you'll be a blessing. And that, my friend, will lead to your great success in life. My friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.